All right, we're back, and certainly, Peter, 2019 has seen many people lose their jobs. Major companies like Standard Bank, Group 5, ABSA, Multichoice, Continental Tyre, and many more retrenched employees. And this has spelled a time of uncertainty and anxiety. With the change in daily routine and the insecurity of needing to earn an income, it can be extremely difficult to navigate the new territory. However, it's important to take control of your life and plan ahead. And there are proactive steps which you can take to empower yourself and put yourself more in charge of the situation. Dr. Linda Meyer is Dean at Boston City Campus and Business College, and she's here to take us through the strides in as far as coping with retrenchment is concerned. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
So when we are in this era of dejection, when people need to embrace themselves for job cuts, and having to cope with joining the lines of unemployment, what really happens in this stage?
So the most important thing is that you have a plan about how you're going to deal with this retrenchment that you're going through. And to remember that this is not who you are, this is something that you're going through, and something that you need to get through at the end of the day. So the first thing you need to do is take financial control. So if you're being retrenched, obviously from your employer, you qualify for unemployment insurance, and you need to register for that as soon as possible. In the day and age that we live now, it's very important that we look at products like Credit Protect, Income Protect, so that if you do get retrenched, that your creditors then will be serviced. But also, most importantly, go and speak to your creditors. Don't sit back and pray that nobody knows about this. Remember, this is not who you are. So if they know what's happening, if they know the difficulty that you're going through, because we know that it will take 6 to 18 months for you to find a job on exactly the same level. The other things that you need to start doing is to start looking for income generating opportunities. So whether it is becoming an Uber driver, whether it is investigating insurance on driving kids to school, house sitting, walking dogs, whatever it is, start making a plan so that you don't sit idly at home and that you fall into a depression state.
Usually people would have a psychological blow, especially when it comes to losing a job where you had self-esteem and you were regarded as one of the most prominent people in society, and having to knock off for the last time and not having anything to wake up to the next day would really affect you in as far as your ego also is concerned. How does one cope with that?
So we must remember everybody is going to go through one of these difficult spells in their careers at some time. You're not unique in facing this. But what you need to do is to keep yourself psychologically strong. So make sure that you get 2 or 3 trusted people that you can speak to. Don't hide. Don't pretend to get up every day, get dressed, go to work, and not tell people what is going on around you, because you need a support structure and a support network around you. Also, it's important that you get help from support lines or from pastors or from community leaders. Make sure that you have a support network in place. Keep yourself and your mind active, keep physically strong, eat healthy, and don't just give up and fall into a rate of depression, because it's very difficult to claw yourself out of that if you're not taking proactive steps and having a plan going forward for your life.
When it comes to financial management, most people would think that they really are well vested with financial literacy, but then when they are hit with retrenchment, it would mean that they are hit with a lump sum. But then going forward, how do you manage huge sums of money which you don't know how long they're going to last you for until you get your next job?
And that is the reality, is that most people are 2 paychecks away from the street. That is the reality of the South African economic situation that we sit in. So it's important that you plan, but also that you immediately readjust your budget. You can't live the way that you did if you don't have an income coming in. And it's not going to be helpful in the long term if you start spending your pension. So you have your UIF payments as a stopgap. You have this income. Make sure that you invest that money wisely. Look for other opportunities to get income generating activities whilst you are waiting. But do not be foolish. A lot of people fall into depression and they start spending this money. They start buying cars. They act very irrationally because they're in a depleted state of psychological strength.
So then going forward, What should one do in terms of not having this borderline of pretending that all is going well, and yet they would know that the chances of getting another job are very slim? The coping mechanisms that one can come up with in as far as trying as much as possible to put their CVs out there or starting another business.
So I think the issue is around, if you were a professional, you will get a job. It's just going to take time. You're not going to get a position on exactly the same level where you are. You're going to have to work yourself up again. So you need to see the plan for the future, but also to realize that it doesn't define you. This episode is not going to define you. But finding a job is critically important. But what is it that you do? What are the activities that you then plan to assure that your strength, that you have mental strength, that you have physical strength, and also that there's a resilience around protecting and future-proofing your saleability in the future? Employers also have a responsibility. Are you employing and skilling your staff for the future, or are you just keeping them with the same skill set? You know that grade 1 students right now, 65% of them will be in jobs that haven't even been imagined yet. So how are you keeping your skills current? How are you making sure that as the world evolves, that you have a skill set that you can then contribute to that economy, that you are the last person that is retrenched in the line and not the first one? Life happens, and it's very difficult for us to keep up with the challenges of the economy and to make sure that we are job ready and that we future-proof ourselves.
Yeah, no, certainly, and nothing is guaranteed in this world, hey?
That's the one thing that's sure.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Linda Meyer is Dean at Boston City Campus and Business College, talking to us about coping with retrenchment.